Get strong.
Alrighty, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Real Talks with Rish. This is episode 7, I believe, and we're here at home with the next guest, which is my mum.
Hello.
Yeah, sweet. So, Mum really wanted to be on the podcast. So finally, we've got her on, and there's a lot to talk about as well, which I'm sure she's got a lot of interesting stories to tell. Some of the things that we'll be touching on is her journey of spirituality and sort of how over the years, she's I guess become a lot closer to India and as well as to God, and sort of how that sort of calms her down a little bit, which sort of triggers onto me as well a little bit. And then also we're going to be talking about something that I think a lot of everyone would find very interesting, and that's the whole concept of arranged marriages, which, is it's pretty interesting because I think a lot of my mates that I talk to back at work as well, and even certainly, wider friend circles view it a lot differently than what I guess Mum does, or, people sort of in our culture. So she'll sort of give a bit of a insight into that. And yeah, also I guess how she taught sort of, grew up in India and what was life like that back then. So yeah, how's that sound?
Thank you, Rish, for having me. Yeah, I'm here to answer anything that you ask me, which we always talk. Me and Rishi are very close.
Yeah,
So we talk over many things. I'm sure he doesn't tell me everything, but we do talk about many of the issues. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's certainly true. I that's right. I probably don't tell Mum everything, but most things I definitely do share with her, and she gives me some good advice about life as well. So yeah, how was it, I guess, like growing up in India? Like, was it obviously different culture over there to living over here? Like, just sort of if you wanted to touch on that a little bit.
Yes. So I was born and raised in India, and I would say that I am very very blessed to have the parents that I had, and it was really good. Obviously, I grew up in the age where there were no phones and no all these electronic gadgets, which I feel it was good in some ways. And yes, I grew up in a middle class family. Mom, dad were teachers. We had we didn't have a lot, but we had enough to fulfill our needs, and we were very happy and content. So I think I will say I was very very blessed, and yeah, I just like my parents were in teachers, so they had value for the education. So I did my education there and was again very blessed and very fortunate to have a job at a young age, and was working and very content. And then mom and dad wanted me to get married.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's interesting. Yeah. I think obviously when I visit India, right, and see my grandparents, so like,
Yeah.
your side of the family and dad's, it's a very different culture, obviously, to what it is over here. People seem a lot happier not having, the electronic devices, the social media, etc., etc. And I think that's really good how you got to experience that firsthand. Yeah, so obviously that had a big influence, I guess, on your life, and I guess back then as well, as you said, the pressures of getting married. So like how has your parents how has your parents, how they raised you, has that had a big influence on sort of the person that you are today?
Yes, I would definitely say so.
Yeah.
I grew up in a family which had strong religious beliefs, Hindu religion beliefs. I guess that's how I was raised. So I can say that I have my religious views as well, religious beliefs too. And I think that make me stronger. But yes, growing up, I would say mom and dad, we saw them doing all the things, but I never showed any interest, to be honest, in those things as much. Um, yeah, but it came just a few years ago to me. and I will talk about that
Yeah.
in a bit later. Yes, mom and dad were doing all these festivals, which I just took it as the fun side of it, but not the serious side of that. But yes, I really enjoyed having those outdoor experiences, meeting with people, and I guess that's why I took you guys there when you were young, few times, so that you could experience what I did as in my childhood. Just being out and about and just playing with whoever it is. That's the culture there. The big neighborhood is like a big family there.
Yeah. No, that's really interesting. And you touched on a couple of points there, how, the festivals and also with your sisters and your siblings as well. And I guess as you grow older, like in the later years, you kind of realize like those times were like invaluable to like what you're doing now.
That's very true. And I missed those for some time when I was here on my own in Canberra. I didn't have family here, so I missed, and I valued them more and more. Yeah. So I always used to miss the festivals that we used to celebrate as the whole big family there together and had lots of fun. But here we were kind of our own. It was in the later, after some years, then the other members of family joined us here. So then now you see, I try to have those get-togethers in our festivals, and we all enjoy that. Trying to keep that culture alive, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. And I think, it certainly gets instilled into, my brother and I as well, like where, I think we still keep that element of, being from India originally, like still in our hearts. And every time we have Diwali, different villages, etc., we try to, go, respect that and go by it as well. But no, like yourself as well, I even like, I guess lately I've sort of connected more on that religious side, more spiritual, just seeing like you went to Rishikesh, which we'll talk about a little bit later, and how that influenced you. And then, I guess sort of detaching yourself from the material world,
That's
right?
right. Yes, yeah. So as I want to say, just an example of it.
Yeah.
Just yesterday, I think we are going through these 15 days, I guess. So when that's in Indian culture and tradition, we remember our ancestors who have left the world. So we believe they come and visit us during these, especially in these 15 days, and we remember them. So I was talking to you yesterday about the significance of it and what we do. We just, try to give some donation, whatever we could. So that's what I was saying, that when we leave the world, you should continue, if you can, continue to do those things.
No, 100%. Yeah. And I think that's all fascinating, right? Because if you don't do it yourself or you don't preach it yourself, like how can you expect other people to do it, right?
Exactly. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. So, I guess sort of moving on from that, and I guess like if we sort of fast forward time, obviously we all, like, you come from like an immigrant background, and it was, I guess, a little bit of a struggle initially moving from India after getting married, settling yourself down. We were in New Zealand for a bit as well, and I guess the one thing that I even like previous people I've had on the podcast, they keep saying when they sort of moved to Australia, the opportunities they got here early on and to like where they're now, they're very grateful for. So yeah, I guess from that angle, I think, do you sort of value when you moved to Australia that it was a very good thing, although it was hard at the start, but over time, like it got to where you wanted to get to in terms of teaching and what you studied?
Look, yes, I'm very, very grateful for everything that I have got in my life where I am. I am very, very grateful to many people, God and my parents and so many people in my life. But moving to Australia or moving to the West was a different reason for me. It was the marriage. Yeah, so I got married, as you know, I got married as an arranged marriage. So although my parents, they were not conservative, they were quite liberal, had liberal views. I left my home when I was, I think, 18. I studied in different parts of India, and I was very fortunate to get a job as a good career. I had a good career there, and so I was far away from my family. So I had no pressure. Otherwise, who I want to get married? Yes, there was no pressure. But yes, there was a pressure that I have to get married. So that was not the choice. That if I had the choice, yes, I
Yeah.
was going in that direction.
Yeah,
That I
yeah.
didn't need to get married. I
Sure.
felt it.
Yeah.
But yes, I guess there was a pressure from parents and
Yeah.
society pressure back
Back
then.
then, yeah.
So then I said, okay, whatever it is. So then dad obviously gave me options, and I used to come home, and dad used to get, okay, meet this person, meet this, but inside I was not ready.
Yeah.
So I kept on making excuses, but then it was the point that, yes, I could see that dad and mom were quite upset. And I said, okay, whatever, dad, whoever dad says. So that made my mind. Now, whoever dad says, I will say yes. So I met your dad only for a very brief time.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, if my dad is happy and satisfied, I'm okay with that. So that's how it was a very rushed decision, but at the time, I thought, okay, whatever dad choose, should be okay. But the sad part that I found was that I had to leave my job, which I loved there, and I loved my job. I loved my, I guess, financial independence.
Yeah.
And also, I had to leave everything because your dad was in New Zealand. His family was in New Zealand, so I had to leave everything and leave my country. I was very, very. I loved my country. I never thought I would ever leave the place, but I had to. So that was my reason of moving to the west. So I got married with not knowing many things. Went in a brand new family whom I didn't know. Then went to a new country. I didn't know anyone there. But again, I was very blessed and fortunate that I had a very, very loving family. So your dad's side of family was very loving, the mom and dad, and your dad is, having arranged marriage. It took us, it was ups and downs, but overall, um, he is, we had a good life. Yeah, I have a blessed life with Jay, with your dad. So with the arranged marriage, it is just that parents, they propose that, okay, so you meet and then you decide. If I said no, dad would never have forced me to
go down that route.
Yeah, to that way. So but it was my thing that I didn't want to make dad upset.
Yeah.
Said, okay, so we go. So I feel overall had a happy life. Then dad decided to move to Australia, and I moved here as well. Then I got the job, so that's how I'm here. So
yeah, interesting.
Is not all bad.
There's a lot of information there. That's very interesting, and I think people find it very crazy, especially in the Western world, right? How you can only meet someone like maybe a week or so, and then all of a sudden you get married to that person. Right. But even statistically, right, arranged marriages tend to have a lot less significant divorce rates than people who get love marriage.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, again, there are both sides.
Both sides of the story, yeah.
Yes, but in the arranged marriage, the one main thing is that the families are involved. Both sides of families are connected. So we in India, it is a saying that you don't marry a person, you marry a family. So you are adopting their brothers, sisters, everyone. So now you have seen how close we are with both sides of the family.
Correct, yeah.
So that is the difference. And if there are any problems with the husband-wife relations, and that's common, then the parents also, if you ask them, they would give you advice, and they would give, and most times it works. So you're not on your own figuring out what to do in the this new married life and all. So that's what I think it is good. So like your dad's family was very considerate, very loving. They knew that how I left my family, left my career, and came in the new place. So they gave me so much love and affection, which I'm always very grateful for.
Yeah, no, that's great to hear. I think you touched on a few elements there. One of the key ones was that I guess the cultural element, right? Like if you tend to have an arranged marriage, you marry someone in your same culture, so like someone being Indian.
Yeah.
That was very foreign to me as well earlier on, because obviously I was like, nah, like that, like what the hell is that? That's not, because obviously we grew up in Australia, right? But now as I get older, I start to understand, and obviously, you know, our cousins as well, they sort of got like arranged marriages as well. And I start to understand it a little bit more. So, but I think now with the modern days, or sort of in the newer times, it's more like less forced. Maybe, I guess in the early days, it was like that expectation, right? That society's expectation that you had to marry this person.
Yeah.
But how would you explain it, I guess, to someone sort of like younger, or like, you know, how would you explain it in terms of, like, it's not actually like you have to be forced this and this, you get married together?
So I agree with you. Back in the olden days, yes, it may not be the same. You know, in like, for example, my grandfather's parents' age, they would say, okay, this is the person you have to marry, and then they have no choice, they have to. But not in my time, and so definitely now times are even more, they're changing, people are more considerate. So I guess the arranged marriage concept is, in some ways, it is like those online sites, like
Dating,
dating
Tinder.
sites like Tinder and all. In this case, parents propose, okay, look at this. So they, and also in that case, they see many things. What are your requirements? Yes, it is a lot about that you clicking in with someone. But in our case, in like when parents find, they also say, see, whether you are like academic also, you are at the same like level, or I would say, you know, so that you can understand better. So what are the things that would make more compatible partner? So they see all these things. So that, I guess that's why probably they are a bit more successful, maybe.
Oh, okay.
And so parents shortlist, you can say, according to what you think. You know your child the best. So you know what your child is like. So then you propose someone, okay, you marry you look at these 3 4 people, and then you start talking to them, and then come up with your decision who you click in the best. Otherwise, you know, if someone finds their own, that's best. But if not, parents are there to help them, I guess.
Okay, that's interesting.
But there is no forcing.
Okay, and I think that's the biggest difference, right?
No forcing. At the end of the day, it is the person's decision. They have to decide. You know, they can, if they don't click, that's fine. But it is just, I guess, it's a helping your child.
So the easiest way to explain it is it's pretty much Tinder in real life, but you don't need to do any of the work, like your parents
do it. And it is in Tinder, maybe you don't meet the person straight away. In this case, first parents meet parents. And then the children meet.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Right.
So they see the families as well. So as I said before, families have involved too.
And I think that goes back to a point where a lot of people, like, especially, I guess, call it successful people, or call it like people that are, you know, have done pretty well and made a lot of meaning in their life. They always say the most important decision of your life is someone who you choose to spend the rest of your life with. And I think that's very applicable as well.
And also your personality. You need to, you know, be compatible with your personality.
100%. And I also think, you know, adding to that, if you have dated people in the past, that's also a good experience, because then you realise what you like in someone and what you don't like in someone, and you grow like that as well.
That's right.
So who knows? Maybe I might need to jump on that train soon, given my crazy dating routine. But we'll jump to that right when we get there. But no, I think that's really interesting, because again, a lot of people have sort of misunderstanding of that, where you know it is two forced people, which is not like that.
No, it is not. It is not like that. Not, I mean, from my age, I have not experienced that. I have 4 siblings. We are four of us. Dad, mom never forced anyone. You know, they were all arranged marriages, but they never got forced.
And the other thing that I sort of like about your personality, and even Dad's, is like you're quite liberal in the sense, like, you know, like, you let us make our own decisions, right? And you'll, like, even if it's good or bad, we realise from that and we'll know what to do better. And I think that just realised to me, like, you know, as I've gotten older, that you can tend to take more risk on at a certain age versus like as you get older, you'll take less risk on.
But I guess everyone at some stage they need a little bit of advice.
Yeah,
help
100%.
from others.
Yeah.
So if parents can give you some, okay, if the things are not working for anything,
Yeah.
maybe look at this option, maybe look at that option. Same as you're
Yeah.
talking to a friend or any older person.
Yeah.
So I guess
Yeah,
if
no,
you have
100%.
that relationship like I have with both of you brothers, so
Yeah.
you and Ishan. So then I can give you the options, but at the end it is your decision.
It's your decision. Yeah, and I think that's a great way of looking at it for sure. So that sort of touches on the next element, which you mentioned it when you were younger, you weren't into spirituality or nothing like that. But what changed? Like, what made you shift your mindset?
Yeah. When I was growing up, parents were very religious.
Yeah, sure.
They were religious, but they were not, as I said, they were not conservative. But we grew up, we see all these religious things happening at home. So we saw, but I never got it that I always have kind of questioned my mom, especially, and myself being from a science background. So question all the things that my mom would say, no, you don't do this, why? And but mom was not able to answer all those things, so it never made sense to me. But yes, with the spirituality also, I never was any spiritual. But the things started to change when my mom got sick. So it was now 5 years ago. So mom was 80, but she was very healthy and she was very active. But suddenly we found, as you know, she had cancer. So I flew to India and then so the doctor gave us very short time with her. But then she was started to have treatment and then we got 6 months with her. So we were very, very blessed to have those 6 months. And then I took some time off and stayed there, as you know. During that time, I read Bhagavad Gita.
Oh, okay. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, I read Bhagavad Gita, which I have read it to, not all, but some of it before, but it never clicked to me. So I read it again. And that it started to make a lot of sense to me about life. That life is far greater than what we perceive with our senses. So that changed my perception.
Okay.
6 months after mom passed away.
Yeah.
But I can say that I handled that situation very well. Yes, I was very, very sad to lose my mom, but I was also kind of feel okay that mom is at peace. And then reading the Bhagavad Gita, that really made me a different person, made me stronger as well, and made me to see life with a different perspective. And then, I started reading few other religious books. Then last year, a year and a half before, I decided to go to Rishikesh. So I spent a month there in Rishikesh.
Sorry, just confirm, Rishikesh is part of India, right?
Rishikesh is a part of India.
Yeah.
And that is like the base of Himalayas.
Yeah.
So it's a yoga city of India. So I went with the purpose of learning yoga. And that just going on that, learning yoga was the reason for me for doing that yoga and meditation course, was that as you know, I'm a high school teacher. I wanted to introduce this to my schools. Because not yoga so much, but meditation, mindfulness course, because I see so many children suffering from mental illness.
Yeah,
so our lives around it. So I wanted to do this little bit for my own for school. That is the reason I went there. But when I went there, and I was there for a month, there was a lot of it. It was not just the yoga postures that was in my mind, or just sit down and do meditation. So it was all about yoga philosophy. What is the philosophy of yoga? And I had no idea.
Yeah.
I had no idea. It was all new to me. So that was I just felt ashamed. Coming from India, I didn't know any of that thing. So that changed my mind. So from there, I started to look life with a different lens.
Well, yeah, okay. And you touched on like a few key elements there. One of them was that um, going to Rishikesh allowed you to understand more about the spiritual side of Hinduism. And you told me as well, like as soon as you came back, that there were a lot of like non-Indians there, right? Which I found very, very interesting. Like I would have thought majority of people there were obviously, Indians, but yeah, I think it's just interesting because a lot of, I guess, the Western world now are starting to connect a lot with spirituality and Hinduism, and that's why they go to those retreats like that.
That's right. And I did it in December. And that was the smallest group that we have because December, Christmas time, a lot of they are not as busy.
Yeah.
But majority of the groups are like 18, 20 people in the group. And majority of the people are from Western.
Wow. Yeah.
So in my group, we were only 6 of them. Out of 6, there were 2 people. And you, as I told you, you were surprised. One was of your age.
Yeah, right.
24.
Yeah.
From Brazil. So
yeah.
And yes, they were so connected, so deep into that, and it was just the start of the journey. We are on a journey.
Yeah.
So it is just I am still very very at the bottom.
Yeah. So I guess that's the question to you then. Like, what would you define success in your life? Like, what would you define like being successful? Like, what does that mean to you?
Look, if you would have asked me this question, I guess 10 years ago, 15 years ago,
yeah,
I would say yes, being successful, I am doing a good job, I am the top of my career, I'm making good money, that. But now, yes, for me, success is finding, I guess, the true purpose of your life. Yeah. So if you have found that, then you are successful, and I am still looking for that.
Yeah, I think we all are, and that's a very deep and thing to say, because I honestly I would say the same thing. Like I think for me personally, like I'm 24 now, but I think certainly the years of age 22 to 24 has like sort of matured me a lot, in the sense that before that I always viewed, and you know me, like back in the day, right? I always wanted to work since an early age, make a lot of money, this and that. And I think that was good while it lasted, like it was good just sort of working. But then what I realized is that there's a lot more to life than just doing that. And certainly spending time with family, spending time with friends, that means a lot. And I talked about this in the other episodes. I don't know if you've had to listen to it, but that's another thing that I talk about. Like, as long as you find your purpose, but also, that's also a pretty cliche way of saying things, I feel, because not everyone knows what their purpose is, and there's no age for that, right? Like, you can find that when you're in your life at any age, right?
And also, I don't think that you have to. I mean, I read some books. So lately, I was reading the book of the Robin Sharma's book of the monk who sold Ferrari.
Oh yeah.
So people, they leave their professions and they go to, I guess, to find the purpose of their life. So they leave everything, they leave the material world, which is again not that easy, not that easy to do. But I guess I'm feeling at this stage, you can still do, find the purpose while you are in your world, So
interesting.
Yeah, that's right. So it is, I guess, before, to me, when someone used to say to me spiritual, I said, well, what do you mean by spiritual? If you do good karma, that's
it.
You be a good human. You just don't hurt anyone. Don't just love everyone around you and just do your good karma. And that is spiritual. But no, now I have started to look and think deeper into that.
Beyond that.
Yeah. So it's a whole universe. So you are looking what is your purpose? It is not just doing your work, raising your kids, have the create the wealth and whatever.
Yeah, okay, interesting, yeah. And I think that also trickles down to, Ishan and myself as well. Like with Ishan's still a bit young, I feel like he'll over the years he'll realise he's still immature in that sort of sense.
Right, yeah, that's right. And as I said, and it won't come if anyone says.
That's right.
It comes
from within.
inside.
Yeah,
like for
100%.
example, I'm like at this age, I never thought about it, but now it has come from me inside. I mean, to be honest, as I was saying to your dad, if I have my ways, I want to also leave my job, go to India and live in a village.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, cut off all the technology, nothing.
It's not as easy to do, but I wish one day if I could.
Yeah, no, 100%. If that's what your goal is, 100% go for it. I'm sure you'll get there.
We don't need all these things.
No, and I think again, I think having all this material stuff, it in a way influences our behavior, and then also influences your actions and what you do.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yes.
Yeah.
It influences us a lot.
Yeah. No, that's interesting, and obviously we see people, friends, family that certainly go down that route, and again, there's nothing wrong with that. But
nothing wrong with that. But again, as you see, a lot of very, very successful people we see in the material world, they are not happy.
No, that's right. Yeah, and a lot of them, even I think I heard news the other day, Will Smith, like all these big actors, they're going more into that Hinduism, spiritual, just to disconnect from that.
Exactly, that's right. Because we want to have internal peace.
Yeah, 100%.
Creating all this wealth, but that. Again, money doesn't buy happiness.
No, yeah. I think, no, that's interesting, and I
believe that money can't buy you happiness.
I think, my definition of that is it can in the short term, it can get you what you want, but again, it won't get you to where you desire or where you need to go. My sort of view on money is that it's a fuel for, I guess, saving time to do the things that you want to do. But then again, you're not actually realizing what it truly is that you want to strive for.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, as I was talking to the other day, another book I was reading. The debts that we create in this life.
That was an interesting point.
Pay those debts when we leave this world.
Yeah.
And one of the book it was saying that one of the debt is the debt of we saw as the gods, and the gods means the resources that we have. So use the things that you need. If you have excess of everything, just share with other people who need more than you. So I think I am now focusing on that.
Yeah, no, that's interesting, and I think it's good that you've always realized that. And I think Dad and yourself as well, we've never been to buy outrageous things or anything like that, which sort of stems down on us as well. Keep grounded, keep humble. No, that's really interesting and quite deep as well. I think sort of just touching a little bit on that. I guess in terms of say in marriage life or finding a partner, do you feel religion is a big part of the person that you should marry with, or do you feel it's more based on the person-to-person interaction?
Look, I don't think religion is a big factor. Again, marriage is, I feel and believe marriage is a union of two souls.
Interesting.
Yeah, two souls. But yes, religion, different cultures, they are fine. If you are happy, if you can do those, compromises, adjustments. And nowadays, people don't have patience. So patience, adjustment, compromise. If you are happy to do those, these things don't matter. You can still live happily. But what happens is if you marry in a different culture, different religion, yes, after the honeymoon period is over, when the reality kicks in, and then if people don't have the patience for other person, then it starts to have the problems.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
For me personally, if you are prepared for that commitment, then it's no problem.
Yeah, okay,
People
that's
different.
interesting.
Everyone they can
Adjust.
adjust, and they
Yeah.
can continue to, yeah, they believe in their religion,
Yeah.
and have faith in their religion.
Mm.
They two people can still do their own. In our family, we have some couple. I think up two couples are of different religions.
Yeah,
and
yeah, sure.
they are happy.
Happy, yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, that's interesting. Yeah, and I think that's a good point that you touched on. Like, it definitely is about compromising, and I think the biggest thing is time, right? So people like for that are like against arranged marriages, I do see their point as well. It's like you probably don't have that time that you spend with each other. Like you're living with each other, you're spending that time connected to each other.
Yeah,
But that's like, I guess, it comes with both sides of the coin. Like anything's a risk, right, in life. Like you take that risk going into it. But yeah, no, that's interesting.
Like now, I mean, it is like you love someone and then you get married. In our time back then, they say you married, then you love someone.
And that always doesn't work out, right? Yeah.
So it has worked for me.
For true.
How
Yeah,
good your dad is.
Yeah, he's
I mean, he easygoing, and I guess in also relationship, the respect is a very big thing.
Yep.
So if you respect each other, many things can be worked out.
That's a good point as well. Yeah, I think in whichever culture that should be a big pillar. Yeah.
You have to respect the other person, their feelings.
Their elders, etc. Yeah. No, that's great.
Yeah, so you know how your dad is so easy going, but he doesn't. So
sometimes a bit too easy going.
Which means more pressure. So we adjust.
But sometimes you need that to someone just to calm you down a little bit. Everything's alright.
He's always so calm.
Yeah. I don't know how he does that.
Yeah.
No, and that's another thing that, like, I personally am really grateful for having a loving family like your dad and yourself, which not a lot of people have as well, right? Which I've got some friends that they unfortunately came from broken families, and obviously that has an influence on their upbringing and their personality. So it comes to counting your blessings, right? And again,
my blessings. I see. I'm a teacher. I see students, and my heart cries.
Exactly.
Hear their stories.
And it's not always
love around them.
And because of their behavior, you can't judge them just for doing what
There's
they're
a
doing.
reason for that behavior.
Exactly
you always go step back.
So
no one chooses that.
100%.
So it is the circumstances in the life that make a person that they are.
No, that's interesting. And I think also, like, for me, obviously I work in cybersecurity now and I'm really enjoying that. But obviously I studied something completely different back in uni. I think just sort of tying that back to that point, it just sort of resonates of like doing different things in life. So I think, I don't know, my perception now is like, I want to try to do like as many things as I can. I do this podcast as well. I do some acting stuff as well.
And I'm going to take you to Rishikesh as well.
Yeah, I'm going to go to Rishikesh with Pat as well. Pat's pretty keen for that. So, Patty, you're going to come on board as well, mate. But touching back on that, doing the podcasting and the acting, I think that also gives me a lot of happiness, because then when I'm having conversations with random people, bro, it's like you're not just talking about work or whatever.
Exactly.
You're doing something different.
Do things that make you happy.
Exactly right.
You're not confined to one thing.
No, that's interesting. Yeah, interesting. No, I think that's pretty much a lot of information there, and thanks for touching on a lot of the spiritual side as well as explaining what arranged marriage is. And it's pretty funny. I think there's a Netflix show as well. There's a lot of shows these days.
Okay, I haven't seen
that.
Shows.
They're going around.
I know my show.
you don't need to see any other shows.
That's right. Yeah.
And then
and my show worked for me. So.
That's true. Yeah, exactly. I think what's interesting is I think a lot of the Western world is coming a lot into Indian culture, because there's a lot of us around the world, right? So in a way we sort of have an influence over I guess just being part of society, and then obviously other people learn a lot about us and vice versa. Thank you so much for your time. We touched on a lot of stuff there.
Yeah, my pleasure, and I thank you for having me on your show.
I
also would say that I'm very, very blessed to have you.
Oh, thanks, Mum. Appreciate that.
You are a very good soul.
Yeah, no worries. No, I appreciate that. I've never really been, I guess, that rebellious. Ishan's been a bit more rebellious.
Person. I have always told you, no matter what you do in your life, you have to be a kind human being.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think
And
that's
you
good.
are. Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Mum. Yeah.
I'm very
Cheers.
proud of you.
Okay, sounds good. No worries. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Cheers.